All right, welcome back to episode 2. We got a lot that happened in the last week of Major League Baseball. We're gonna catch you up on the Bucks and Packers for Week 14 disappointing loss, but we got to keep on moving. We make our picks for Week 15. We talk about a lot about the transfer portal and high school recruits to watch out for in this 24 football class. We'll touch on some Badger basketball, talking about AJ Storr, John Blackwell, as long as the two recruits, Daniel Freiberg and Jack Robeson. But before we get started, we got to shout out our guy Gunner, aka G-Man G Blazin, over at the Views from the Stands podcast. Talks a lot about sports. He's really locked into USC Trojans. So if you ever want to know anything about them, he's also really locked into the transfer portal. Always got a ton of updates. So, hey, give him a listen. You won't be disappointed. But without further ado, let's get started. I mean, the winter meetings just wrapped up, and obviously not a lot happened at the winter meetings, but right after, we got some signings. Shohei with a ridiculous deal with the Dodgers. $700 million for 10 years. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't believe it.
I really can't either. When I first saw that news break, what was it, 10 years, $700 million? Just seeing it right off rip, it was like, oh my gosh, there's no way that he's going to get paid $70 million per year to play the game of baseball. But then we find out not too long after just how the contract is structured. It was wild how the Dodgers were able to manipulate all that time to just pay him $2 million per year. That was just wow to me. I jaw on the ground. I could not. I was surprised. That's my main sum up from that Shohei signing.
I mean, looking at the deal, it basically was Dodgers or nothing. I mean, knowing that he gave the options to both the Dodgers and the Giants, and he ultimately chose the Dodgers, just shows that all he wants to do is win, and he knows that the Dodgers are a team that can do that because they've shown they want to win. It just doesn't all click come playoff time, and maybe adding the best bat in baseball can put them over that hump, especially at just $2 million a year, which opens up signings like Snell, trades for Glasnow. I mean, just a lot of opportunities to build on a team that's already one of the best in baseball.
I think my favorite thing about this contract is we keep getting more every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got that it's all deferred, but then we find out it's like it's $2 million, but they got to pay a lot of taxes on it, so it's like $46 million a year. And then we find out last night he also gets a suite for every game, every home game, and he doesn't have any opt-outs unless Andrew Friedman gets fired. Like, what is this contract? This is unprecedented. I don't see another deal going this way.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's only one prospect.
There's one guy. One guy that gets this deal.
At what point do they just get him ownership of the Dodgers?
After it's over.
That's the only. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. But you know what? Who knows? Who knows, right? Eduardo Rodriguez is a Diamondback. Obviously, we talked about this one as a dream scenario for the Brewers. We knew he would get a bag. Good for the Diamondbacks. Love the signing. They needed a third dog in that rotation.
It takes Brandon Pfaadt to the fore, and just if he builds on what he was doing in the playoffs, was watching him pitch in the playoffs was probably one of the best pitchers in the playoffs. I mean, he outshined Gallen and Merrill Kelly down the stretch, and having him as a fourth with already having Cy Young candidate Zach Gallen and Eduardo Rodriguez and Merrill Kelly. I mean, they're playing to win the West.
Did you guys see those comments that the Diamondbacks owner had the other day about Ohtani? He's basically said that's only one guy. I think we should see some more owners talk like that instead of being all kissy with each other. Get some fire, get some rivalries back going.
I love it. I do think some teams are going to get real irritated with what the Dodgers are doing.
Yeah.
And they're going to struggle to make deals. But is what it is, right? I
Mhm.
like the Diamondbacks out there, but the Dodgers are just loaded, and they're not done. Kimbrel to the O's. Bridge guy for Bautista. Not much really to say about that one. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, Cal, you liked Candelario. You like Jamer Candelario.
Mhm.
Uh, signs with
He
the
got
Reds.
3 years, 45 mil,
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
I think that's a good deal. I think Brewers probably could have done that. I think that 3rd year might have kind of steered him away, but I didn't see any reports, and the Brewers do kind of move in silence, so we'll never know, I guess. They were in on him.
I think the Brewers avoid that one because I do think they want to go with Tyler Black.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, and maybe we're right and Donaldson comes back and it's just like that's the vet leader at third base to
Yeah.
help him. Will Smith, Royals, World Series favorites. Anybody?
Yeah, yeah.
Might
In
as
case
well.
anybody out there doesn't know, Will Smith has won 3 straight World Series with 3 different teams. So I don't know, Jacob, is this one of those ones like they did with Chapman where it's bring him in and move him on, or do you think this is legit because they just signed Seth Lugo too?
I think they're going to try to build, at least for the first half of the season, and kind of see where they're at. And then based on how they do on the season, they're going to do deals for whatever will best suit their franchise at that moment, because they're expecting Bobby Witt to kind of be the guy for them. So if Will Smith can be a force in the back end of the bullpen for them, I can absolutely see them holding on to him. But then it also is a small market team. If they're behind other teams, they're going to sell, and enough teams are going to be willing to pay big prospects for relief pitching late in games. So I could see it both ways.
Yeah. And hashtag Jacob was right on Young Ho Lee. I don't know if anybody realizes this, but he went 2 for 2 this first week.
Attaboy.
For how bad his
Good
NFL
shit.
picks are, apparently he can pick free agents.
Gotta get
Hey,
something
that's-
right.
His
That's
sport
Young
is
Ho
baseball.
to
I
the
am a baseball
Giants.
guy. Very, very much of a baseball man.
So Young Ho Lee to the Giants, that's a fun deal. That's like we talked about last week. The Giants had to do something,
Something.
right?
Yep.
And I don't think they're done, but this is their big something. But yeah, I mean, Gabe, you mentioned it earlier. The Dodgers are they go after Glass now. What does that do to them? What does that do to the Rays? Because that's not the only guy they'd move.
Yeah. What what are the reports? Margot and Glasnow for Ryan Pepiot and some outfield prospect. I mean, currently I see the AL East as Rays, Yankees, Orioles, Blue Jays, Red Sox in that order. Currently, if they hold, couple things that the Rays need to do. They need to hold on to Randy Rosarena, but obviously, Tyler Glass now injured, injury ridden the past 2 years. They got to get something for him, and if they can strike that deal, I mean, Pepiot is already major league talent. I mean, if they can build on their young core, I mean, I don't see them falling too heavy dealing Glass now. And then in my 2 with the Yankees, I mean, getting Juan Soto, getting Alex Verdugo. A big thing that they had last year was injured outfielders. And Juan Soto and Alex Verdugo play a lot of games. When me and Jacob went to Yankee Stadium, we got the blessing to watch Greg Allen hone down left field for the New York Yankees. That is
Masterclass.
something that they didn't want to do. So they went out, got outfielders. Something that they still need, starting pitching depth. It's basically Garrett Cole, and I mean, Clark Schmidt was all right. They dealt Michael King. Then, I mean, if they get pitching, they'll probably take that top spot in the East. Orioles, I mean, they were probably the most surprising team last year. They rode 2022 into the 2023 season really well. And all they need, keep their young guys performing. I mean, they already went out, got the guy that Bautista needed, like Kimbrel with Bautista out for the year. And then my 4 spot, sadly, the Blue Jays whiffed on Ohtani. I mean, like I said earlier, seemed like Dodgers are bust. And now that they whiffed on Ohtani, they got to make a big move. Cody Bellinger?
Yeah, I
Yelich?
can see that.
Those reports
I-
today, ridiculous.
I'm still trying to figure out what the financial situation for the Brewers is. But
And then
I think the big thing with the Yankees, though, is they needed left-handed bats. Or,
yes.
they were so right-handed. Not only health, they needed dudes to hit it out of that, Little League park in right field.
Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Go.
Soto, and I think Verdugo could hit 30 at that park.
I agree.
And then one team I didn't talk about, the Red Sox. I love the Alex Verdugo deal for the Boston Red Sox. They had an excess of left-handed outfielders, had not a lot of right-handed pitching depth. They got that. But I still see them as the 5th best team in the East. It's the most competitive division in baseball. What they need to do is get that top-end starter, Yamamoto, Blake Snell, both. What do you guys think?
I don't think they end up with either one.
I don't either.
No, I think Yamamoto goes to the Yankees. Yankees or Dodgers again. The big dogs are gonna eat. They want to win. They want to win now. They were embarrassed last season, so I could see the Dodgers and Yankees really spending big this offseason.
I saw a report that was Yamamoto. Yankees offered Yamamoto 9 years, 304. So we'll see how true that is, but it wouldn't surprise me because they're going to be one of those teams that just out markets for them, and they need it. But yeah, the AL East is ridiculous. But if the Rays do move on from Glasnow or Rosarena, I think Margot means more to that team than people realize. They could plummet fast. But we keep talking about these big signings: 9 years, 304, 10 years, 700 million. The Brewers can't operate like that.
They just can't.
It annoys people to no end. But you have to understand what we're doing, what the team's doing. This is like when they had Braun and Prince and Corey Hart and Ricky Weeks and JJ Hardy all coming up within a couple years of each other. This is what they're doing again. And Jacob, please explain to people why the Brewers can't operate like the Dodgers.
Based on how the market share is across the league with size of market and how the media is divided up, it is just not how it is just not how the way the Brewers are able to operate. The way to do it is to follow the Rays method, is to go out, find the guys who are cast away, but have one or two small outlier things, and to be able to build off of those things and really be able to build a baseball franchise based on guys who do one or two small things very, very well, and be able to help them build and acquire those extra attributes that they may not have and be able to build on that foundation that they already have. It is the reality of the situation of being a Brewers fan, and the way that Arnold has come from the Rays. I mean, the Brewers are the Rays of the National League. That is just how they have to operate. And with the Brewers bringing in Arnold, I really like how he's been able to build on what Stearns was able to lay the foundation with what we are reaping the benefits of now. But now he's really able to dig his feet in and be able to spend his money wisely, effectively, and efficiently. And it is just how the Brewers have to operate going forward as a franchise to be able to compete with 10 years, 700 million being thrown Ohtani's way.
Yeah. I mean, and this ties in perfectly to the draft lottery that just happened. The Brewers moved up 3 spots from 20 to 17. Cal mentioned this last week when talking about Bev and Wilkin. These are high value dudes, and the Brewers got them at a great price. Cooper Pratt,
absolutely
steal in the 6th round.
People were comparing him to Gunnar Henderson. People are comparing him to Gunnar Henderson. Same type of thing with the Orioles.
You've got to be able to throw. That's where the Brewers throw money. The Brewers are an overslot to high school kids that everyone deemed were going to college, and the Brewers took a shot and they got Cooper Pratt, who could be a major league shortstop.
And I kind of want to add on to this.
Shortstop.
Yeah.
Like, as a Brewers fan, guys like
Absolutely.
Burns, I think you kind of have to deal at the deadline. Not at the deadline, but you got to deal him while you can, knowing you can't afford to sign him in the future. So you might as well get something while you can. And same thing goes for Adames. I know if they keep him, I'm fine with, but if they want to trade him, give value in a thin shortstop market, I'm all for it, because that's what you got to do to keep retooling each year. So you have good farm systems and drafting well. Another thing. That's something Arnold's done really well.
I mean, another thing, like, I saw a report that the Rangers aren't really going after Jordan Montgomery because of financials. And it just really, you just kind of have to look at it as teams that are with the Bally Sports Group. The Padres had to deal on Soto. I mean, these are teams that are spending, but in turn, they have to salary dump in the MLB, which doesn't happen often because of these Bally deals. That's why the Cubs, the Yankees, the Mets, they all can spend because they have their own TV. They have their own TV station, and that's where a lot of the revenue comes from.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it's not a secret, guy, right? Like, all of these teams that have Bally have to operate a different way now. It's just the way it goes. But, this was a great conversation about baseball. And we could obviously go on for hours. We're all baseball guys. But something amazing happened last night in the Bucks game. And Cal has a great deep dive on what the heck happened with Giannis's 64-point ball.
So this was one of the
Where'd it go?
biggest misunderstandings I have ever seen in my life. And I wasn't able to catch the first half last night, but I was able to catch the best part. After the game, Giannis breaks Michael Redd's franchise single game scoring record. So he obviously likes to keep game balls from big games like that. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he got
You're a
that
little
64
cutting,
points.
but you're all right.
All right. He had 64 points. He wants to keep the game ball. And originally a Bucks staffer, their team security, one of them on staff, got the ball after the game. There's been videos of it. And then my back.
We could probably, yep. You're just gonna have to cut a little bit.
All right. So
because there's a recording still.
All right. So Giannis had 64 points, franchise single game scoring record, and he got the ball back from Buck staffer until it ended up in the Pacers' hands. Why did they want it, you might ask? Oscar Tshiebwe scored his first NBA point, which was a free throw.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly he scored another free throw in the NBA in-season tournament game. So he can want
the real tournament, Calvin.
Oh, it's the greatest tournament of all time. I don't blame them. So they got that ball back, and Giannis was visibly frustrated because of it. He was seen talking to Tyrese Halliburton and Hawks assistant coach Lloyd Pierce, when all of a sudden he sprints into the Hawks tunnel. There was videos came out. There were Jay Crowder's out there, campaign. I'm sure Bobby Portis, I didn't see him, but I'm sure he was there. Thanasis, of course, was there. Little big scuffle going on. And it all came out that Giannis got the ball, but people are saying that it might not be the official game used ball because they have a backup one. And this has created a great rivalry in the NBA, which is something we don't have a lot of. And I think that's one thing the NBA in-season tournament has brought us. Bucks got bounced by the Pacers last week, and Tyrese Halliburton was saying, "Oh, I know what time it is. It's my time." And as a Wisconsin guy, I kind of like Tyrese, but in the past week, my liking for him has diminished. But this is a great rivalry. The Bucks play them January 1st and January 3rd. So I'm looking forward to seeing some more competition, bringing out the best. And to add on to that, throughout the game, Giannis he shot 32 free throws. He was getting hacked. Bobby Portis got into a little argument as well. So tempers were flared throughout the whole game. I think if tempers weren't flared like that during the game, this isn't as big of a deal. But because it was such an intense game, a lot of talking going back and forth, it made for great entertainment last night. And Twitter was on fire about it.
Divisions
So
matter.
Giannis is either going to go for 100 or get ejected in the first quarter, right?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
there's no in between here
Mm-hmm.
with at least the New Year's Day matchup.
Yeah.
But like I hate to say people are soft, these are professional athletes. But the end of NBA games, if it's a blowout and someone scores, it it seems like the softest time. Like, are you not allowed to just play a little bit of basketball still? Like in the baseball world, we can't stop playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Have to
So
get all 27 outs.
yeah, like
And
you still got to play all 4 quarters.
I saw a lot of Pacer fans on Twitter upset that they brought Giannis back in, but the Pacers got it back down to 10, and they brought Giannis back in so that they could make sure they close out the game. That's basketball. Who cares? And Giannis is a guy who's always going to give 100% on the floor every single time. Like everyone knows that around the league. So I don't know. The Pacers are just, for a team that hasn't won anything, they do a lot of talking. I
They're
just
very
don't
young at
understand it.
the end of the day. You have
Yeah,
to
they
remember
are.
that. They're all still
They-
learning the NBA
And like,
ropes,
yeah,
and
this kind
they're
of
seeing
reminds
what their
me.
leash is, and
This kind of
it's just
reminds me
how
of
they are.
2015, 2016, the Bucks when they knocked off the Warriors. They had that. They were started 24-0. The Bucks beat them to give them their first loss. Bucks were in the same situation, I will say. They had all those shirts. They were doing a lot of talking after the game with them, and then they went to the Golden State later on in the year. And I think Draymond, of course, got into it with I think OJ Mayo, of course. Shout out the Juice. Chris Middleton was involved. So I don't know. They'll mature as they get older, but it's something.
Shout out the
They also
Juice.
feel like the 2021 Suns.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's who the Pacers are kind of reminding me of. But I do think the rivalry is healthy for the league.
Mhm.
Like you need it. We don't have enough, like you said. So NBA regular season. Sometimes it matters.
You need
Sometimes.
something to make it more interesting. You have to. And if this is what you got to do, I love it. And another thing, I think this could be a thing that kind of unites the Bucks going into the regular season more. They need something to bring them together. I hope this is it because there has been times where they just look checked out and they have so much talent. Their offense is elite, but they just need a little bit more buy-in, especially on the defensive end where they're guarding the whole 4 quarters, the whole game, not instead of just like I said last week. All right, fourth quarter, let's lock it in. We're down 5. So
Yeah, I think that'll come. I'm
Yeah.
not too worried.
I'm not
Get into
either.
the
But
playoffs. Get on the playoffs. Things happen.
and I do
Win
want to
clutch,
say
I mean,
I was impressed by Griffin last night because Tyrese Halliburton only had 3 points. He made an adjustment where he put Dame on Halliburton. He had Giannis on Miles Turner and Brook on. He was hiding on someone else in the corner. When the Pacers got into their pick and roll action, Turner came up to set the screen for Halliburton. Giannis hedged that screen, and then they'd dump it to the roll man and Turner, and then Brook was there on the weak side to block shots, which is I think a great adjustment from AG.
That's a huge adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing for me is everybody gets on him for listening to his players. Like that's what good coaches do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
You do what your players are good at. So like, yes, he's making adjustments, and he's also they're winning. Like I frankly don't care what he does as long as they don't miss the playoffs. Like that's
Yeah.
like the one expectation. From a team that's just getting started to the Packers who are almost done this year. So the Week 14 loss to the Giants. Is it weird to say I wasn't that surprised?
No.
Like
No.
not at all.
the
They poured
Giants are
everything
playing
into those
good.
last 3 games.
The Giants were coming off a bye. The Packers just ran their gauntlet. They're playing at MetLife. Look, they walked out of MetLife with a loss, but also nobody tore an Achilles, nobody tore an ACL. AJ Dillon broke his thumb, but like
That'll
if
happen
that's
anywhere.
if that's the worst thing that comes out of that game, don't care that they lost.
And it was a windy night too. Did you guys see that video of?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Like I
Jordan
thought that might
Love's.
have been the case, but seeing that video confirmed it. So
Like I was, besides all the end arounds,
yeah,
the offense played well. Was it Love's best night? No. It wasn't. But we've also seen nights where Rodgers, like, you have a chance to win the game. Carlson also missed a kick.
Absolutely.
And then,
Yep.
yeah.
Gonna take your lumps with the rookie kicker.
But here's the
Unfortunately.
other thing. The Packers have given up 200 yards rushing 4 times this season. In all 4 of those games, those are losses. In all 4 of those games, they're all losses with under 5 points. Like, the Packers are fine. The issue is Joe Barry's got to go.
Yeah.
And I know last week I said you got to give him credit, but his defense is built to stop a Patrick Mahomes. It's not built to stop Tommy DeVito and Saquon Barkley. Like, teams that want to run the ball are going to run the ball.
Teams that play
very
smash mouth.
effectively.
Oh, very effectively. Teams that play smash mouth type of football, they're gonna walk up to the line and just pretty much show what they're gonna do. And Joe Barry just doesn't make adjustments. At the end of the day, his defense is a round peg, and he tries to put it in a square hole and tries to make it fit for every single team that he plays against, rather than just making small adjustments here and there.
Can I interrupt real quick? The Dodgers
Yeah.
just got Tyler Glasnow and Manuel Margot for Paypot, Johnny DeLuca.
Yeah, I mean,
So they get out of that deal without giving up Bush.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Is-
Pepiot is probably a really good piece for the Rays to have. I mean, young pitcher. I mean, Glasnow, did he really help them last year?
Glasnow's the career innings he's thrown is 120. So are they adding another? I hate to say it. I love watching Walker Buehler pitch. But he's also can't stay healthy. So did they just add another Walker Buehler?
Essentially.
Time will
Like-
tell.
I hate to say it, but until Glasnow's got over 150 innings in a season, that's really, really hard to see that as a net positive right now. And I think Glasnow is an unbelievable talent. Freak, who's
He's
never
a
got over
freak.
120 innings in a season.
Yeah.
But love that. I love the breaking news because I love reacting to that stuff live because while it's a great deal for both sides, I actually think the Rays win this deal.
100%.
I don't know how they don't get Bush, though, which I think that's more disappointing than anything is they don't get Michael Bush. But maybe they're still going after Corbin.
Jack Flaherty also signed with the Tigers for 1 year, $14 million. For some bigger news for you guys.
Oh,
Bigger news.
I thought I'd just dump that in there.
Also, one thing I
sure.
want to talk Packers football, though, going back to where we were before Cal thankfully interrupted
sorry.
us. No, you're good. You're good.
No, love
No,
it.
we
breaking
love
news.
the breaking
We love
news.
it. We love it. They're the youngest offense in the NFL. No Christian Watson, no Aaron Jones. Scoring points in the NFL is the hardest thing. Getting a first down in the NFL is one of the hardest things that someone can do. And when you have the youngest possible offense in the league put up 22, I mean, you got to win that game. I mean, they don't like you said, overusing the jet sweep. Gotta go something different on that 2-point play. If they convert that 2-point play, then maybe the prevent works. I mean, who knows? Not trying to give Joe Barry any credit, but there's so many things that happen during a game that it's just so the NFL is the hardest sport to master because of just like how big, how fast everybody is in that sport.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I saw somebody say, and I wish I would have wrote down who it was, but it said, you can play without Christian Watson or you can play without Luke Musgrave. You can't play without both. You're not going to win. Those two are freaks. And I love the progression that Tucker Kraft is making. It's showing us that when Musgrave's back healthy, they can run 2 tight end sets, and you don't know who's getting the ball. Because those two are animals with the ball. Like, to me, I think Tucker Kraft's ceiling is like a George Kittle.
Absolutely. I agree.
could see it.
Solid blocking tight end with solid good hands to be able to just take what he's given and just run with it versus Musgrave. I mean, the sky's the limit for him. He
He
is
stays on his feet.
that
He's
is
not
the
soft,
biggest issue with
Jacob.
him.
He's not soft.
He's not a fake tough guy. No
He's ready to
hashtag
run
fake
someone
tough guys
over
with
at
him.
all times. All times. I love that.
Look, we've got like we like to talk about thunder and lightning at running back. They've kind of got thunder and lightning at tight end. And
Tight end, wide receiver,
like,
hopefully at running back when Aaron Jones is healthy. Like there's thunder and lightning all over this Packers offense when all put together, when healthy, and when the ball is put into the right playmaker's hands at the right time.
Their
Like-
5th wide receiver had one of the toughest touchdown catches I've ever seen.
Hey,
He
back-to-back
caught the ball.
touchdown catches,
He
all
caught
right?
the ball,
Back-to-back plays.
broke the plane, and had his helmet come off all in one play.
and took the ref out. Who?
Hey,
like,
shout out to that
Vaughn's
ref. I
gotta-
saw him pat back I saw it was like boom. All right, he was.
That dude was hurt.
He knew it was a touchdown.
Yeah, he threw his hands up there. He's like, I am hurting, but here we go.
At least he didn't break his leg like that one dude from Kamara.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's gruesome.
So even with the Packers losing, they're still the 7th seed right now
Mhm.
in the playoffs. Well, that lines the Packers up currently going into tonight. They play the Cowboys, which yikes, because it's in Dallas, but also is that the Cowboys' biggest nightmare is like crap Green Bay coming here again. I still think the that side of the playoff bracket runs through probably San Francisco.
Yeah, easily.
Um,
that's the most complete team I've ever watched. They just dismantled the Eagles.
It feels like they can do whatever they want to anybody. They're fun to watch. I'm not a big Brock Purdy, I wouldn't say believer, but he's a game manager, but that's all they need him to be. His numbers are almost no different than 2019 Jimmy G. Like, it is what it is.
And when we say game manager, like that's not a negative thing. It's just like there in every sport, there are just styles of ways to play that position. Game managers in football, I mean, they're real cerebral. They take care of the football, make the right play. Like I know that this has been a big talking point among the sports world, especially after Cam Newton, who was a freak, gave his opinion on game managers within the NFL. That's not a negative connotation. Like in the NFL, there's different buckets for guys. Like those guys are game managers, but they also find ways to win football games.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes, Josh Allen, Cam Newton, you'd put in the bucket of freaks.
Lamar.
And then Lamar Jackson. He's a freak within himself. There are different ways to play a position, and Cam Newton was just kind of explaining to the world that hey, you can play the quarterback position at a high level, but you can also manage the game from a different way with how you're able to move the football and use your guys around you effectively.
We will never see another Cam Newton because that was an outside linebacker playing quarterback. Like, he's essentially the size like Julius Peppers playing quarterback. That's just different.
Yep.
But I think the AFC is still wide open. Nobody wants to be the 1 seed, it seems like. In the beginning of the season, if you'd have told me who was winning the Super Bowl or getting the Super Bowl out of the AFC, I'm telling you the Bills. And I still don't think that's out of the question. They could get in as the 6th seed and run the gamut.
Seriously. all the fringe teams, doesn't seem like they want to win right now. Yeah. You got the Texans, just like injuries. Injuries are killing the league this year. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and CJ Stroud all getting hurt. within 2 weeks, that's tough. Then, I mean, you got the Broncos. They're looking good. We'll talk about them in a little bit,
They're
And
dangerous. They're on a heater. Like Sean Payton's got them going.
I mean,
Russell Wilson's playing decent.
will you ever see a team give up and then make the playoffs? I mean, like all this year, and I feel like.
But credit to them for making adjustments for real.
Yep.
I mean, we just saw the Dolphins lose to the Jets, so I mean, any given week, NFL is any given week. You got to play 18 of them.
I'm learning that real well.
I mean, that takes us right into our pick'em standings. I'm leading the way at 16-12. Last week was tough. Cal at 14-14, Gabe at 13-15, and Jacob, well, he's rooting for chaos, 11-17.
Chaos usually ends up biting you in the butt, especially with gambling. So thank God I don't gamble.
Hashtag not a gambling podcast.
Not a gambling podcast. Not gambling advice. Not gambling advice.
Gambles. I stopped gambling because I lost so much.
It's legal in Wisconsin. You can't do that.
We do not gamble. Please don't take this as gambling advice. This is strictly for our own entertainment and the entertainment of our audience.
I play in the NCAA. I do not gamble.
So Gabe's game of the week. Broncos on a heater take on the Lions, who weirdly are falling apart. What do you got for us, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, you basically summed it up. Lions are a team that, I mean, did the Packers break the Lions? Just like the Bruins broke the Rangers earlier in the year before they won?
Yes.
But who knows? Maybe since the Packers broke the Lions might be that Super Bowl contender that we don't know about. But the Broncos, Javonte Williams, fully healthy. Bright spot that they needed. I mean, their offense elevated once Javonte Williams became fully healthy. I mean, first rushing touchdown in what was it, like 2 years or something crazy like that?
Crazy.
I mean, they just like utilize so much. I mean, Marvin Mims is getting utilized with the end arounds. Jerry Jeudy, I mean, he took Steve Smith's comments and took them personally and is actually turning in a pretty good season. And then someone that I've drafted in fantasy since day one, Cortland Sutton. That dude, he just catches the ball. I mean, obviously that's the position, but there's a lot of balls that you wouldn't think that he's got to catch that he just catches. I mean, Russell Wilson looking like an NFL quarterback again. It's just crazy how in even a year, a team like the Broncos just go from one of the worst in the NFL to the best. And the Lions is Goff falling apart. I mean, what do you guys think about the Lions?
They're an interesting team, but I got a little bit of a add-on to this Glass Now deal. We got more details coming in. This is contingent now on a contract extension from Glass Now.
What?
So
15 years, 200 mil, $1 million for every year, and then just defer everything off of them.
Well, I guess we'll find out when it comes through, but I had to throw that in.
Thank you.
To me, I think the Lions, unfortunately, are falling apart. I really like Dan Campbell. I think he's doing a great job. With that being said, I am picking the Broncos in this game because I just feel like they're more connected at this point.
I would have to agree with you. I am also in on the Broncos. I just think in the NFL, if your quarterback position is not stable, and if your quarterback is turning the ball over, turnovers are the death of you. And Goff is just not able to take care of the football, and Russell Wilson has been able to turn it around. So that's why I'm riding the Broncos.
I mean, we talked Gabe's game of the weekend. Gabe never took his pick yet. I mean, I'm with both of you already. I mean, Broncos country. Let's ride.
Yes, sir. I'm with you guys as well. I think Sean Payton's just got Broncos playing their right ball at the right time. Hard to pick against them right now. Like AJ said, they're on a heater.
So, Chargers, I guess.
Another toilet bowl.
We're all split.
I mean, are you riding Easton Stick that well? I mean, Aiden O'Connell just put up a goose egg against the Vikings, but I mean, it's not like the Chargers defense is that good.
I don't know if this one matters, to be honest. It just is what it is. We're split on it because it could be like 6-6.
I should have rolled with the tie.
I
might need to
flipped.
change my pick from the Raiders to a tie. Maybe 3-3, another week of 3-3. 6-6. You know, I don't think they punched the ball in the end zone. I mean,
2-2.
Who knows? But it's going to be a very ugly football game at the end of the day.
Bengals were split on this. Vikings are now going Nick Mullins, and Josh Dobbs has been sent down to the third string. Steelers Colts. Only Cal is going Steelers. The rest of us are on the Colts. I think the Colts are just, frankly, better. I don't know.
I mean, Trubisky
versus Minshew.
I guess Minshew's a better quarterback. He didn't really look that good last week.
I'm just brainwashed by Mike Tomlin. I'm a big believer in him. Mr. Consistent.
He's gonna finish.
I gotta go with
he's gonna
guy.
finish 8-8-1, and this might be the tie.
One game has to.
Giants Saints. We're also split on this. Saquon's gonna run for 300 yards against the Saints.
I mean, I saw something where the Saints have the easiest schedule. I mean, I might change it to the Giants. It's another coin flip. There's some pretty bad games this week.
Yeah, like the next one, Bears Browns.
What do you mean?
Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco 300.
He's an elite quarterback.
Flacco for a 300 game. I'll go with you. Jacob
was a great ball.
To pick the Bears.
You know what? I think that the Bears have been playing decent defense. Lesser of two evils. Justin Fields will run the ball on the beaten up Browns. So that's my only reasons.
Gaber's taking the Panthers in the Falcons Panthers game. The rest of us taking the Falcons.
I gotta ride with the Panthers until they win a game.
Sure, like Gabe said, I mean, there's just a lot of these games are not great. We're about to get into some much better games, but that's just the NFL slate this week. It is what it is. Welcome to the first week of the fantasy playoffs for those of you that start in week 15. Bucks Packers. Cal's taking the Bucks. The rest of us taking the Packers.
I got reasoning.
This isn't like. I want to hear this. I'm actually very intrigued.
Yeah,
yes.
So okay. So I believe last week I picked the Chiefs, and I want to continue on that. They win when I pick against them. I want to keep that going. I'm risking my pick. You can thank me later. You can thank me later.
I'll bring flowers to your house later. All right.
Baker Mayfield going for 150.
You can continue your thanks for me.
In the win.
Oh, thank you.
The one thing that does concern me is the Buccaneers have big receivers and the Packers have small corners.
Yeah.
But I think this is just more about I've seen Baker and Lambeau in December too many times. And he's struggled.
Was that Christmas?
NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Was that game that Rodgers
NFL quarterback struggling? Yeah. Like NFL quarterback struggling is still like better than we could do, so it's hard to even say that struggling. Yeah. Jets Dolphins. Jacob taking the Jets. He must really enjoy just bad football. I think it's going to be tighter because that Jets defense is legit, but I think the Dolphins find a way.
Fins without Tyreek Hill struggle. So I don't know how healthy Tyreek will be, but that Dolphins offense really is surrounded. Like really the center point of that offense is getting Tyreek the ball and then getting everyone else the ball off of that and using him as that decoy. And if he's not on that offense, it's very one-dimensional.
I mean, Jalen Ramsey, Will Levis just like absolutely truck him. So, I mean, Will Levis and Zach Wilson have the same mentality. They both got that dog in them. So maybe we'll see a repeat of Will Levis and Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson's got dog in him?
Well, did you see his comments? What are they going to do? Bench me? So
yeah.
He's got nothing to lose.
I've watched way too much Jets football this year. It's tough to watch.
I'm so sorry for you.
Thank you.
We pray for you every week.
Chiefs, Pats. Do you understand how bad you got to be to get Patrick Mahomes flexed out of Monday Night Football to like a
Very
noon
bad.
game on a Sunday? So I think Pat's going to come out and play with a little bit more fire after the last 2 weeks, and they get it done. Texans, Titans. Cal's got the Titans. This game could all of a sudden be a Titans game because I don't think CJ Stroud's playing.
If he's not playing, it's the Titans.
Absolutely.
Niners, Cardinals. That game could get ugly. Niners. Rams, Commanders. Cal picking the Commanders. The rest of us are on the Rams. I don't know. That's an interestingly bad game.
I mean, Rams
It
are
is what it is.
trying to get back in that playoff spot. I mean, we'll see.
I think they're the 8 right now.
Yeah.
Because they're the tiebreaker with Green Bay.
They played well against the Ravens. I mean, it took a punt return to beat them. So
Yeah.
special teams can be
Ravens
the winner
aren't
and
a
the
bad
loser.
football team.
Cowboys, Bills. Jacob on the Cowboys. Cal on the Cowboys. We're split on this one. I don't know. I really want this to be a good game, mainly because it's in Buffalo, I believe. So that could make it interesting. The Cowboys are a little bit slower when they're away from home.
Back struggles on the road, especially in cold temps.
Ravens, Jags. We're all on the Ravens. Eagles, Seahawks. I did see that the Eagles haven't beat the Seahawks in 15 years.
I see the
And
Seahawks.
That's 7 straight. But I'm still taking the Eagles because the running back situation in Seattle is kind of getting weird. I think they're both kind of hurt and they don't really want to
Use either.
talk about it. But hey, that should be an interesting game at least. So moving on to some Wisconsin football. We got some portal updates with Cal. Cal, what do we got? What are we looking at in the portal?
It went out. They got Tyler Van Dyke, transfer quarterback from Miami. Originally, my reaction to it was meh. But after not being so reactionary, I think Van Dyke's had 3 offensive coordinators during his time in college. And he's playing for Mario Cristobal, who made Justin Herbert look meh in college. He had a really good first year, and I think the one downside of it is he doesn't have the same legs that a Mordecai or a Nick Evers has, but he's able to get the ball to his receivers in space, which is what Longo wants to do with his receivers. So I think this could be a good move. They're going to get their playmakers, and that's another thing the Badgers need to hit on in the portal is wide receivers. Shimray DK just left, and they got a good base right now with Bryson Green and Will Pauling. But that wide receiver room is so bare thin right now, and their wide receivers coach just left. So that's just something, and they got to get more receivers in the portal. And they got stud running backs coming in. From what I've been told, Malusi's going to be coming back. So they're going to have – I trust Fickle to get some receivers out there from the portal. Guy like Tyrell Henry, wide receiver from Michigan State. This guy runs good routes. He has good hands, which is exactly what the Badgers needed. They struggled with a lot of drops this past year. Amari Stone has been pushing really hard.
He's also a dynamic return man.
Is he?
He averaged
okay.
17.1 yards per return at Michigan State.
Oh, wow.
So that's another freak with the ball.
And then another receiver they've been linked to is Jaden Richardson. He went to Tufts University, Division III school. Don't let that fool you. He is a stud. Quick. Like, Henry's got good hands. Just good all-around fit for the Badgers. Like, just because he's D3, I mean, I might butcher his last name, Forkin, the corner, transferred from Grand Valley State. He had a solid year.
Yeah, Division II. Yeah,
Division
he was
II,
really good.
There's good ball everywhere.
Yeah.
There's good ball everywhere for all different sports and all different levels.
It all depends on who's recruiting you.
Another name that there hasn't been much linked to, but I really like is Ja'Cory Brooks from Alabama. 6'2", 195. In 2022, he had 39 catches for almost 680 yards and 8 touchdowns. I don't know why. I'm not going to speculate, he was kind of phased out in 2023. But this kid is a baller. I also know they had another 6'2" receiver on campus yesterday from Wake Forest that they really like. And today they got a tight end commitment from Jackson McGowan. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Not great with names. Originally committed to Cincinnati when Fickle was there. But when Fickle left, he flipped to LSU. So it adds to a really, everybody likes to talk about the tight end room being thin. I think this turns into a pretty nice tight end room with Steck signing, Ashcraft, Nokowski, and now McGowan. I think it's a really nice room.
Rob Booker could be flipping on National Signing Day as well.
Yeah, that makes that room deep.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a couple of guys in this 24 class, though, that, we all know the big name guys, right? But I want to turn you guys on to a couple guys who are going a little bit too under the radar for my liking. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce names, but Gideon Atuka, a 3-star prospect from Gaithersburg, Maryland. He's listed 5'10", 230, but this dude is going to be a star. His ability to run through and then away, I don't think we've seen that since Monty. Like, this dude is a freak. And, like, Darian Dupree and Dylan Jones, both composite 4-star running backs, yes, they're going to get their love because they're also freaks. But, like, Gideon in his last regular season game for high school went 31 carries for 382 yards and 5 tutties. For the season, he went over 2,000 yards and over 30 tutties when he broke his own rushing record from 2022. We're going to have another 3-headed monster at Wisconsin at running back. And they're going to carry on the legacy of RBU. Don't sleep on Gideon Atuka. He is a star in the making. I think he's going to play early. I think he's going to play often. He brings a different juice to this team.
One thing
he's going to be fun.
That you said that really, like, I saw Jacob pop out his eyes at this. 5'10", 230 in high school.
That's a big boy.
If you're rushing for 382 yards, you gotta be like somewhat fast. I mean, if you can use 230 pounds, he's at least somewhat muscle. I probably would assume if he's running back. That is not a kid. That is a straight up man coming into Wisconsin.
Bowling ball going downhill.
There's a video. If you look up just his last game if you go on his Twitter, look up his last high school regular season game. The first clip, he runs through one dude and then away from a safety for like a 60-yard touchdown. Like, no joke, this kid is going to be unbelievable.
And one thing, like,
the other
a lot
kid,
of Badger fans,
but
a lot of Badger fans have this misconception. It's more like national as well, but everyone's talking about Longo with the air raid. It's the last 2 games against Nebraska and Minnesota. Longo showed that he is willing to run the ball down teams' throats when they are able to. And like the Illinois and Indiana game, they weren't really able to. The running back room was thin pretty much all year after Ches went down. But if you have studs coming in at running back like we do, Longo has shown that he wants to run the ball. It's not just going to be throwing the ball 90% of the time. It's take what the defense gives you, and then if they're stacking the box, we can get our guys out in space and make plays happen with our guys.
Absolutely. Another guy I want to turn you on is a local kid, Landon Gaither, another 3-star prospect from Green Bay or Swamico, Wisconsin, Bayport High School. Listed 6'3", 220. This kid plays so fast and so instinctive. He's a sure tackler. If he gets his hands on you, you're down. Like, you're not moving. This year, he had 46 tackles, 6 for a loss, and a pick. And he was selected as an first-team all-conference performer. He's someone I see getting playing time as a freshman, but I think more importantly, he's a guy that's gonna put on some more good weight and he's going to be a dude that down the line, we're going to be talking about him like a Jack Sitchie, like a TJ Edwards. Like he's that kind of dude, but he's faster.
And this team struggled
6'3".
with tackling this year too. So if you can get a tackling machine like Gauthier, you have to.
Gaither.
Gaither, okay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But those are just two guys that I think are going to be stars in this program. Obviously, signing day is coming up. We'll talk more about it after signing day happens. But, you know, on to basketball, on this Badger basketball team, what are your expectations? For me, it's top 4 in the Big Ten. I think the ceiling is like Sweet 16. We've seen them beat a really good Marquette team. Then we saw them kind of lay an egg at Arizona. But that Arizona team it's got 7 pros on it.
They were hitting shots from Maryville that game. You can't really do too much. They were playing with house money after beating Michigan State and Marquette. I agree with you. I think Sweet 16 is a chance, top 4 in the Big Ten this year. I think AJ Storer, he's been so vital for this team with his athleticism, his ability to take his defenders off the drive, hit the 3 ball. And one thing that's opening up because Chucky Hepburn lost 15, 20 pounds this year. He looks quicker. He's able to take his guy off the dribble, which leads to Stephen Carl dunks or AJ Storer, Max Klesmit, wide open threes. It pays to have athletic guys on a basketball team. Who would have thought?
Something that I've noticed with Greg Gard, I mean, obviously he doesn't bring in like the greatest team, but they always seem like they're in the top half of the Big Ten, and they're always gonna, if they make the tournament, at least win the first game, except obviously when they lost to Oregon that one year. But I mean, it is the expectations are for me are basically the same as every year. Make the tournament, win a game. I mean, it's just I feel like another Badger basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Storer. I think the other guy that's got to be mentioned is John Blackwell Jr.
Absolutely.
This kid as a freshman has already been named freshman of the week twice, averaging nearly 10 and 4 a game. And he just plays hard all the time. He never stops moving. He gets after it.
Always downhill.
He's going to be unbelievable. But I think the guy they need to get going is Connor Sejan. For me, I think his big issue is he's not very good defensively. And I mean, there's some other things like I think the back's still an issue.
Yeah. But I think Guard's found his group of 8 to 9 guys, and they're playing really well right now. So at the same time, I just don't want a Sejan to be forced minutes, especially if he can't guard. And if you can't guard at Wisconsin, you're just not going to play. I think AJ Storer, he's been getting better defensively, which is why he's been such a big part of this team. But I just want it to be natural. I don't want it to be forced where he's coming off the bench and chucking threes up. Just let him get into his rhythm right away. Don't force any minutes. And I've been tough on Connor this year, but I know he'll be at full strength eventually.
Is there something with Wisconsin guys and getting logos?
And then totally falling apart like Graham Mertz. There might be something with it. There's might be something in the water with getting a little ahead of yourself rather than focusing on your craft.
Well, AJ Storer just got one, so the corner store. That's a sick nickname.
That is kind of sick. That is great. It is great. I do want to focus on a couple of guys too, and the only 2 guys in this recruiting class, Daniel Freitag and Jack Robson, both out of Minnesota. 2 of the top 3 prospects out of Minnesota. Again, Wisconsin just goes there and takes whoever they want. It's awesome. But Freitag is a consensus 4-star prospect, point guard. The guard identified him early and got on it often. Like, I think I knew about Freitag when he was like a freshman. Like, he was one of those kind of guys. And he's an athletic freak. There's a video of an alley-oop going around off the backboard and he throws it down. Like,
he's a stud football player too, right?
Yep, he was being recruited by Fickle a little bit to play receiver too. Like, he's
Two
just
sport
different.
athletes.
Like, he's another version of AJ Storr, but a little bit smaller. He probably needs, I mean, like all high school kids coming to Wisconsin, if you can't defend, you're not getting on the court. It just is what it is. But he's going to have an opportunity to play early, play often. I think he's going to have a chance to prove himself. Robinson, on the other hand, is a 6'6" small forward, 3-star recruit, Lakeville North High School. It's like, what, 7 kids in the last 10 years out of Lakeville North come to Wisconsin. He's a lefty, pretty jump shot from the left side. Super aggressive kid, plays hard all the time. He definitely needs to add some weight, but the kid can shoot it from the outside. He's got some work, but he's going to be solid. I have no doubt
Knowing
about
Wisconsin's player development, he will definitely be able to put on some very productive weight and be able to fill out his frame very productively.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we got for this episode, guys. Again, follow us on Twitter at Cheesehead Chatter. Send us a DM, send us a message, hit our email if there's anything you want us to talk about. Shout out to the Wisconsin volleyball team playing tonight, Thursday, and then Final Four. Let's go bring home a dub, play for that Natty on Sunday. So let's get after it. Thanks for joining.
Go Pack.
Peace.